Welcome to the Elvis Presley channel. Elvis Presley has done many things in his life, and he managed to add kissing a nun. However, there is more to this nun's kiss than meets the eye. Elvis kissed a nun, but it isn't what you think. Make sure to watch the video until the end, and if you are new here, don't forget to join our wonderful community by subscribing to the Elvis Presley channel. Forget what you have heard. Dolores Hart, now Mother Dolores, wasn't Elvis's first movie kiss. However, Elvis was her first on-screen kiss, as she managed to snag the highly competitive role of acting as the King's love interest in the film Loving You. In that film, Elvis's lips were passed around the women, with Jana Lund having a taste, and Elizabeth Scott had hers before Hart brushed lips with the King. She had the kiss that would set her on the path of becoming a nun with Elvis. No, she hadn't become a nun at the time. That would be scandalous, wouldn't it? There is nothing the King of Rock and Roll can't do. The man even got to meet the President of the United States and got a letter from FBI's Edgar Hoover himself. There are even rumours of Elvis being a government spy. However, if there's something Elvis can't do, it would be to kiss someone he knew was a nun. It didn't fit Elvis's preferences for women. Elvis is far too religious to toe that kind of line. There wasn't a tour Elvis did that he didn't take his Bible with him. People around him described it to be worn and heavily used. So kiss a nun? Nope. It doesn't fit the Elvis M.O. So let's get this straight. Elvis kissed a nun, but at the time of the kiss, the nun, Dolores Hart, who was a fast-rising actress, hadn't become a nun. Hart got good publicity for the movie Loving You, with her agent using her on-screen relationship with Elvis to promote his charge. Dolores rose to become the girl other girls hated. High-profile roles came Dolores's way, which is expected for the person who the media branded as the new Grace Kelly, with the great luck to look like Grace Kelly. Becoming Elvis's leading woman for the film Loving You was not in doubt. Grace Kelly herself had bowed from Hollywood, preferring to become royalty. With her looks and talent, the only way for Dolores was up, with filmmakers promising her fame that would rival the likes of Elizabeth Taylor. They were right. If Dolores had remained, she would have reached and surpassed those levels. She did another film with Elvis and King Creole, and also acted alongside the most exciting Hollywood talents. She starred alongside Marlon Brando, Anthony Quinn, Montgomery Clift, and Robert Wagner. Then she worked with directorial legend Alfred Hitchcock. Some of her films even attained cult status, and of course it was the most sexual of her films, Where the Boys Are. Who would have thought at the time that the actress that portrayed such vivid and realistic sexuality would be garbed in the monotone of a habit? The film was about Hart's journey to discover and accept her sexuality. Hart was Hollywood royalty, but maybe not too big a royal, but still she was a Hollywood brat. Hart was born to a family of entertainers, and as you may have guessed, it wasn't rosy. She confessed to her parents dealing with alcohol. The pressures from being a star can be enormous, and the coping mechanism of Hollywood stars tends to border on the excessive. She was the baby that wouldn't have existed when she was a seed in her mother's belly. Her grandmother wanted her mother to get rid of the pregnancy. However, Hart's mother was strong-willed and declined. It wasn't that the grandmother said what she said out of malice. Her dad, who was the new Clark Gable, was an aspiring actor, and having a baby could present him with financial challenges. Her parents took the risk, and it paid off. Their daughter loved her dad's career and saw many movies when she was a child. Also, she joyously worked for her projectionist grandfather, who had a habit of dozing off when a movie was projecting. Her aunt was the incredible singer, Maria Lanza. So when Hart also decided to become an actress, her parents and grandparents supported her. They supported her in everything she wanted to do. It was with her grandparents that she began her journey into Catholicism. She lived with them, and they enrolled her in a Catholic school. The purpose was not to make their granddaughter religious, but it was the closest school to their home. They didn't want her to get run over by streetcars. It was in this Catholic school that she became jealous of her friends, to whom the school gave chocolate milk and cookies after they attended Mass. Hart wanted some of that action and asked her grandparents if she could participate in Mass. Hart's grandparents let her express her religious preferences, join Mass, and attend catechism classes. Dolores's teachers were amazed and excited about her decision to become Catholic, but what they didn't know was Dolores did it to get yummy snacks. So, through chocolate milk and cookies, Hart became a Catholic, and she still is one today. Elvis Aaron Presley, born 8th of January 1935, became one of the greatest personalities in music. Elvis just about turned anything he touched into gold, so many people wonder how it would be to be with the king. The man had a streak of improving the lives of those around him. Sonny, Red, and the other Memphis guys lived extraordinary lives just because they were with Elvis. The seductive hip-hammering king is the object of different fantasies. Many people have found themselves asking a very important question. Was Elvis a great kisser? One of the people that got asked the question the most is Dolores Hart, the actress who became a nun. Her career was impeccable, even getting nominated for a Tony Award nomination for her performances in the Broadway show The Pleasure of His Company. However, Dolores had been religious from a young age, converting to Catholicism around 10 to 11. Despite being a star, she never diminished in her religion and prayer activities. Often by 6 in the morning she would be attending Mass. It didn't matter if she was filming or not. For her, God came first. The actress even had a habit of recharging her social batteries in Connecticut at a Benedictine nuns' convent there. She found the place soothing. Little did she know that she'll become a nun herself, although her becoming one was foreshadowed by a film. The film she was shooting was Francis of Assisi. The Pope at the time, Pope John the 23rd, came when she was shooting. She introduced herself and her role, St. Clare of Assisi, but the Pope believed the actress was not acting as St. Clare, but had become Clare herself. The two talked, and what the actress took away from the conversation was she had to be true to herself and chase her religious ideal. However, it wasn't easy for her to do. She loved making films. It was one of the things that offered her comfort during her parents' turbulent marriage. She returned to Hollywood, but she was different. She wasn't at peace. Hart felt wounded by life and wanted to find healing. Nothing could comfort her, not even her lover, Don Robinson. The two were in love with each other, and they had a wholesome relationship that pointed to marriage. As expected, Don Robinson proposed to her, and she accepted. However, her heart wasn't there. It was with the King of Kings. The actress tried to become a nun, but the head nun there convinced her not to take up the habit yet. Don noticed a change in his lover. He knew her so well, but Hart couldn't break her dear lover's heart. She tarried. Perhaps time would make the feeling of becoming a nun go away. The feeling stayed with her for 2 years, and she knew it was something she had to do. This wasn't because of the Pope. This was her and who she wanted to be. She loved acting, but it wasn't giving her the peace she craved. Breaking off their engagement just when marriage was peaking at the two, she headed to Connecticut, to the same convent that gave her peace. She took her vow and swapped the flashiness of Hollywood for the simple life of a nun, and it suited her. While his lover moved on, Don didn't. He took a vow of his own, a vow of not marrying any other woman. His love for her didn't diminish, and he regularly visited the convent till death claimed him. However, nun or not, nothing could prevent fans from asking Hart how the kiss was. The nun didn't give the fans the answer they wanted. She asked them to judge for themselves. I don't know why they ask me. It's right there on the screen to see. It's right there for the looking. It was right there for the looking, and nobody should trouble the nun. It doesn't mean she doesn't respect the king. She has great respect for Elvis. He was different from some of the other stars the actress turned mother of the Connecticut convent had worked with. The mother said Elvis was a gentleman, and he wasn't even attempting to get in her pants in any way. The sister, now mother, announced she enjoyed working with Elvis and had a great time being on set with this stylish rock and roll legend. The two had great chemistry working together and could easily remember their lines and deliver their roles. It was a wonderful, unexpected joyride, which surprised her. Being a big star at the time, she may have thought Presley would be a snob, but he wasn't. He was always laughing with everyone, not opposed to fun, and had an incomparable youthful freshness. Also, she described Elvis as a man who had Bible quotes swimming around his head. The king himself was a religious man, as his parents were. In fact, his love of music came from listening to gospel music in some of the churches he attended. Before any show Elvis did, he always prayed. When we saw him bow his head, then we knew, said Stanley, Presley's stepbrother from Vernon's remarriage to Dee. Elvis's prayers before the concert were short, and they helped the king calm his jangled nerves before a show. He often prayed for a successful concert too. Stanley said Elvis would lead them in prayers during bedtime and read the Bible to them. Elvis, in his characteristic fun manner, would act out the characters in the verses he read. Elvis was so in tune with his religious side that after every show he sang gospel songs to cool down, and his voice would carry around the Graceland mansion. To Elvis, singing the gospel was like singing the Bible. This was why, when articles began to fly in the news about Elvis abandoning his religious roots, the rock and roll king flew into a vehement rejection in the newspaper article he wrote in reply. The writer of one of the articles wrote, Presley got his start by singing in a church choir, but fame has made him forget all about religion. Elvis cut the piece out of the newspaper and put it in his scrapbook. He was expecting people to say and write pieces like that, so he wasn't surprised. However, he defended himself, saying he had never abandoned his religion. He admitted that he didn't have the time to be a regular churchgoer, as touring took most of his time. Still, Elvis didn't think going to church wasn't the only way to be religious. He concluded by saying, "So if they mean just going to church regularly makes you religious, then I guess I don't fit up to what they want." But despite not being present in church always, the singer believed in God and did so with all his heart. So Hart and Elvis were two religious souls who maintained their religion despite the glitz and glamour of Hollywood, although Elvis would be consumed by the pressure of being a star in the end. Still, even in death, he helped his co-star turned mother in her time of need, as we are certain he would have if he were alive. How did he help his co-star? With his historic kiss, of course. Dolores's convent ran into small trouble with the authorities, which could have led it to be shut down. There weren't many fire escapes, no safeguard against fire, and for the older nuns the tight steps became hard for them to climb due to their old age. The nuns initiated different fundraising activities, but the one that swayed public sympathy the most was Mother Hart's documentary titled God is the Bigger Elvis, whose highlight was her kiss with Elvis. That documentary was nominated for the Oscars, bringing the actress to the limelight again. The actress stuck out in her habit as she walked among actresses in glittering clothes. She attracted attention with the media curious about why she was at that year's Oscars. "I'm still waiting for the real thing," she said. The former actress didn't seem hit with nostalgia. She was one of the voters who determined who would win an Oscar award. Yearly the Academy sent her films and asked for her vote on those films, so it wasn't as if she stayed too far from Hollywood. Her documentary aired on HBO and didn't enjoy theatrical releases like the others. HBO came to their convent and filmed The Nun, but didn't take the documentary to the theatre. Rather, the documentary went to HBO's channel. The lack of big publicity eventually hurt the chances of the documentary winning the award, although this didn't matter. The documentary did its job. It helped the actress gain the attention she needed for her Abby. The documentary, in combination with the actress's autobiography, which Elvis also appeared in, brought more recognition for the actress turned nun. The good mother, through her efforts, got the Abbey $1 million in a month. Trust Elvis fans not to disappoint when it came to doing good in the name of their idol. They enthusiastically donated to the cause, and in no time the convent began to raise the millions it needed for a massive upgrade. Money kept on coming in, and Hart's Abbey began to change its plan from meeting safety codes to a much-needed renovation that would put the Abbey in the safe zone for years. The living quarters were improved, elevators were fixed, and the piping problem the convent suffered from every winter was solved. Some of the money went to keeping the convent self-sustaining by creating a sewing room, print shop, and a standard bakery. Did Hart regret her choice to join a convent? No. We are certain she doesn't also regret that on-screen kiss with Elvis too. After all, it turned out to be a miracle for her. If a nun couldn't resist Elvis's charm, why people wanted to resist Elvis Presley at first? Watch this video and find out.